Hey everybody, it's Pastor Vern with your daily update for November 3rd, 2020. It's a Tuesday. It's election day. I know many of you have already voted ahead of time, but if you haven't and you have the opportunity to vote, go ahead and get that taken care of. However whatever your political leanings are, it is just our prayer that whoever ends up in our elected offices from every level of government, that God is touching their lives and will guide them. So we'll see how all this works out in a period of time. We're going to continue on with just some of our fun stuff from the Bible this day, understanding a little bit more about Bible times, and we're going to continue with fashion this today. We started out with that yesterday, a little bit with the wearing of beards and the bathing, and we're going to move into a couple other things today, and then I think we might move into some other category. But the first one's going to be is girdles. Now, the words that we use in our English language and the words that come up through the Hebrew tradition are not always the same, have the same meaning. In the Bible, we hear of girdles. We hear about girding up your loins. We have some phrases like that. But girdles in the Bible were different than what we talked about in our modern day. I suppose for the most part they are out of fashion, from what I understand. But in Bible days, they were a large piece of cloth that was tied around your waist like a sash, and then you would have folds in it, and then they'd form pockets for you to carry some of your small articles in. The robes they wore didn't typically have pockets in them, and so that gave you a little bit of a place to carry some small articles that you would maybe need in your daily life. And then we see some about the girdles when it comes to war. In the Old Testament, they would be more of uh, a leather belt with some metal on it, often kind of a studded metal. Tries to look a little more formidable, and you could use that for securing daggers and supplies and things that you would need as a warrior in those days. And in the case of poorer folks, it was oftentimes just a rawhide strap that would be tied around their waist in some way. Maybe if they were fortunate enough to have a buckle, it would be something like that, more of what we call a belt, but it could still hold those things that you might need to defend yourself or whatever that may be. Another thing that was typical Bible times. Was they did use cosmetics, they did use fragrance and attract it to be attractive. And while the Bible actually never says any place to wear no makeup, stricter Christian folks in some denominations say that makeup is not appropriate. But it really didn't come as a problem. We read about a little bit about it in the Old Testament, but we didn't read about it or hear much about it until in the New Testament. Peter admonishes women to not wear makeup, to be more concerned about their inward beauty than their outward beauty. About their beauty, their clothes, their makeup, their jewelry, all those kind of things. It would tend to lead me to believe that when he wrote that in First Peter, that we also know the epistles always oftentimes addressed a problem in a certain location. That maybe there were some people there who were using their attractiveness in a way that was maybe trying to influence decisions within the church, and maybe for not in the proper realm. And so that's kind of one of the things I wonder there. And also there's the color scarlet it was a fashion statement too. There was a kind of insect that they used to get that color. They would crush these insects and make them into a dye. They could use them for linens and wool threads. And it was really expensive because it took a lot of them little critters to make up the dye. It's pretty similar to the purple that was also used That was a sought after dye that was taken from, I believe, snails, and it took like lots of them to make enough dye to really dye a garment. Um, Also, so it got to be a sign of the wealthy or the powerful again, maybe even royalty. The scarlet did, and that was one of the reasons that scarlet kind of found a black mark in the Christian history, is because the Roman soldiers was to put a scarlet robe on Christ. When they were mocking him before his execution, before the crucifixion, and uh, so that's one of the things that kind of gave it that bad reputation. But then again, here's the second part of that. Um, that scarlet robe also could, to some extent, mimic the look of blood on a garment, something that would have been very, very difficult for the Hebrew people. They had a thing about blood, not touching other people's blood, and all those kind of things any more than absolutely necessary. And we also say that the blood of the lamb washes our robes white. We talked about that this week in church. So that would be another thing that would be a possible thing why the scarlet was a prominent color that comes out in a very tragic way in the Old Testament. All right, well, that's enough about that. You guys all take good care of yourselves, watch out for others, and stay safe. Bye.